Alright, hello, Waylian3520 here, and welcome to a tutorial on the module Bandboozled again. So yeah, this module is modeled after the infamous Bandboozled again, and it starts the bomb off with a wonderful sound. So as you can see, this is what the module generally looks like. This first page is all the text instructions. I will refer to this from time to time, but the most important part is this second page with all of these symbols, letters, words, etc., etc. The first step of this module is to decrypt the display. Decrypt meaning not only to convert these into a set of 0 to 9, A through Z characters, but also then to turn that into a word in this table. How to do that? Well, first of all, you can note that the lights turn off, but the display will not, making this pretty flexible in terms of when you can do it, which is always nice. But anyways, to start, look for the first symbol in the module that does not have a turn in it in the top display. So what I mean is that first of all, I'm going to lock this module in this kind of big view so that this display takes up most of the space. And now you can see that this block here has a curve in it on the left, so you want to move past that block and into this block. Now you can see these lines, they may help you a little bit in identifying where blocks start and end. But yeah, let me turn off the alarm, go back to the view I just had. Right, so you can see that this first symbol has this kind of pipe on top as well as a curve on the bottom. Pretty much, well, not every symbol, but most symbols will have a line in the middle. If they do not, then that's also a distinct feature anyways. But so this symbol, you can see that it has a pipe on the top, which is not present on any of these. These have U shapes, but those are not pipes. You can see that on this left side, this symbol matches with the pipe as well as the U shape on bottom, so we know that this symbol is going to be the first. The second symbol has a U shape, upside down U on top and N, I guess, as well as two straight lines on the bottom, which is here. The intersection of these two is 9, so we record the 9. And then we proceed likewise for all 20 symbols that are placed like this. There are 10 on top, 10 on the bottom, and you will get 10 letters like this. And so in reading order, you always take them in reading order, and yeah, you'll get 10 letters because they'll be alternating between row and column Bandboozled. Bandboozled are what these symbols are called. And so yeah, next one is this as well as this, so M. Next is this and this, which is Charlie. This and this, which is Oscar. This X. So these X's, they obviously do make it so that the middle line is not continuous, but then you can see that the X's are also very distinct. So yeah, that's always helpful. Anyways, so we have this X U shape and this X line, which is H. Now onto the second line, you start in the same position. You see that this has a turnaround, kind of a loop, and you also see that where we stopped, this has a loop, so we don't want to include this symbol because it's not really found in the table. This with this is 9 yet again. You can see that these two symbols are matched actually, which is purely coincidental really. And we also see that actually this and this are also the same, so M. Next is when we have a differentiation. This and this make N. This with this is L. This and this is Q. So these are our 10 decrypted letters. If you remember Bandboozled again, the original one by Speaking Evil, you may remember that after decrypting from the boozle glyphs, which are Bandboozled glyphs on this module, you still have to Caesar and position shift. In this case, the direction of the position shift is given to you. However, the direction of the Caesar shift is yet to be determined, as well as the size of the Caesar and position shift. If none of that makes sense, that is fine. Just I will explain everything as well. So starting from this instruction, it tells you it has the word. The main display has a 10-letter word in the word table. Yada yada yada. It has been Caesar shifted forward if the top half of the display has a useless loop, otherwise it has been shifted backwards. What this means is you want to follow the pipe of this instrument and see if it has a useless loop or not. How to tell if it has a useless loop? You follow the line, which are straight except for these tubes, which you can completely disregard, until you come across an X, in which case you keep going straight. Kind of like Shapeshift's manual, if you remember using that at all. But you can follow this through the two end shapes, through this end shape. And here, when you get to a cross, you keep going straight, so now you're kind of in the middle section. And then you go up again because this X is going upwards. And then you follow this loop, go up, and then to the middle, and down, so the U, and then up again into the middle, and then you turn around here. U shape, U shape, U shape, go up into the middle, down, and then U shape, and then through. So you see that by going through all the straight lines, you did not waste any part of the instrument. You do not go like turn around with crosses. Real world instruments generally don't work like that, so that's how this works, I suppose. But yeah, one helpful tip is that if you do pass through the turnaround on an instrument, then generally that instrument will not have any useless loops. This is especially helpful on some instruments. In this case, I don't have any. Hopefully I will come across an instrument that does have a useless loop. Okay, yeah, for example, this one. So this instrument, if you look with the straight line, you see you go straight and then you go down, all the way down, because this is a kind of like a twice as long diagonal, and you go all the way down because you want to keep going straight, and then you just go up through. So in this case, you did not pass through the loop, which is helpful. Now back to the display. The top one, as we established, does not have a useless loop, which means we're using the otherwise rule, and it has been shifted backwards. It's been shifted by A steps, and also it's been rotated B steps left, which is just what I was talking about with the positional shift. It's been shifted left by that many. So what we want to do is we want to look for patterns that we have in our word. What we can see is that 9M repeats twice, which means we have a 2-letter piece that repeats. This is very helpful, as we can look for one word that has that distinction and be able to find our word. First of all, we see that there are no repeat letters that are side by side, like there's no 99 or MM, anything like that, which means we can eliminate words such as kettle drum, which have a T, and which has a double T, which obviously we can't have in our word here. So that eliminates words such as these. I don't see others of bass guitar as well. Yeah, so these words are just definitely not there. Then we can still look for the 9M. 9M, as we see, is separated by 3 and 3, so they're just separated like that. For example, grand piano, AN, and then DPI, which is 3 letters, AN, OGR, which is another 3 letters. So then we see that if A is because A comes before the N and 9 comes before the M, then we know that A corresponds to 9, N corresponds to M. And what this tells us is that, so in the base 35 alphabet, which looks like this, it's just 0 through 9 and then A through Z. 9 comes just before A in the alphabet, and N comes M comes just before N in the alphabet as well. That means that we know that the Caesar shift, which is backwards, is just one step. A is equal to 1, which we can note down. We can also see that, for example, C, if we shift it forward, just like 9 would shift 1 forward into A, M would shift 1 forward into N in grand piano. If we shift C 1 forward, we get D, which means that this is going to be A and D, which we see that we have A and D in grand, which means that our word looks like this. A and D, piano, GR, grand piano, yada yada yada. The rest of the letters do just match. It's pretty easy to check. Okay, seems like I might have mistranslated one word. Just a second. Okay. This plus this. Yeah, okay, so this is an F. Whoops. But anyways, yeah, generally it's still pretty possible to translate even or to finish the translation of the word even if you miss a letter. Generally, yeah, this is just not a big deal as long as you can get the A and B values, yada yada yada. We see that we need the steps to be B steps left shift. Normally this looks like grand piano, and we see that if we shift G in 2 left into the N, then the O position, 2 left, then it will give us what we have here. So B is equal to 2. And now we see to reverse the encryption, perform the opposite of the previous steps. Yeah, that was the decryption. Anyways, so now we need to take the word that is on the opposite side of the table, be up and down. So clavichord is above grand piano. If we had flugelhorn, then we take tambourine because it's below, yada yada yada. So we want to perform this encryption that we have, A equals 1, B equals 2, on clavichord. However, we see that the word directly above or below, once encrypted using the bottom text's loop status. What it means by loop status is in the original rule, we have top half of the display has a useless loop. So we're seeing if the bottom loop has a useless loop or not. If we trace this, like so, then we see that this to go through the N shape, this goes down into the middle from the X, goes down further, and then takes the U, and then here. So if we just follow the straight lines, then we see that it has a lot of useless pieces, obviously has a useless loop, and so goes into the windpipe. So it is true that the bottom display has a useless loop. Therefore, we are shifting forward the word clavichord. So we're shifting forward by 1. So for example, C becomes D, L becomes M, yada yada yada. I'm not going to do this full encryption because I think it's not necessary. What we want to do now is to find the letters on the 6 displays, the 6 buttons. Each of the buttons correspond to a letter. For example, this first button, the letter is here, and this letter is here. This is these 2 symbols. So the first button is R. Well, that looks strange. The second button has. Well, we want to keep the highlight on the R. You will see why in a bit. Second button has this as well as this, which makes H. Third button has this pipe plus the U, as well as this, which is 0. This fourth button has this and this, which is D. The fifth button has this and this, which is 5. And then the sixth button has this and this, which is F. So we see that I highlighted these cells using the Alt 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from the repo. Yeah, which is just a helpful thing to color code as long as you know these colors pretty well. So now we see that we are looking for a letter with exactly one button. One of the buttons will share a letter with the word directly above, yada yada, once encrypted. So what this means is that one of these letters will be in the encrypted word, which means that one of these letters, decrypted, will give a letter in the word. In this case, the word encrypted is going to be shifted forward in the Caesar by 1, which means if we shift any of these backwards by 1, we should find a letter in clavichord. The position does not matter because you're looking for a shared letter, which is not affected by position, it's only affected by the Caesar shift. For example, if we shift 0 back, we get Z. If we shift 5 back, we get 4, neither of which are in clavichord. And then we can see that if you shift D back, you get C, just like we have here. C encrypted becomes D, yada yada yada. And this is color 4, Alt 4 gives yellow. So that means that we need to hold button 4. That's how you get the button. That button's no value. Oh, well, no, I'm sorry. That button's no value is how many seconds to hold 4. So it's hold button X for 4 seconds. That comma is there for a reason. You will see why in a bit. The next rule tells you which button to hold. You will always be holding button whose letters is first in Chinese reading order. Here it tells you Chinese reading order, top to bottom, then right to left. So you want to start on the right side and go top to bottom. In this case, the top right letter F is on one of the buttons. It's on button 6, which is orange and highlighted. So hold button 3. 3 means 3 in reading order, which is the top right button. No, hold button 6. Thanks. I typed that badly. Oh, right. This is also not 4 seconds. So what this means is that we have the fourth button. And it wants this button's note value is how many seconds to hold for. Hold for value, and this is when a really heavily musical part of the module comes in. So the button for value, it means the value of the note that plays when you press it. Initially, you can play notes from the buttons. As long as you don't hold them, you can tap them and they will play sounds for you to find their values. Once you start holding a button, that's when submission really starts. So the button did not register any of these as submission. What you want to look for is to order these notes by pitch, 1 to lowest to 6 to highest. I can tell you right now, for those that know a bit of music, the buttons are C, D, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, or D flat and E flat for those who are more comfortable with flats. And those are in the octave, in the 4th octave on the piano, as far as I remember. So this is the first. This is 1, which is the lowest pitch. It's C. Okay, yeah. So this is the lowest. So there's a second lowest. So you can, for those who can understand the module, this is a bit higher than this button. So that's an increasing order. And now we're kind of looking for D. So, and then, so just to speed up the process a bit. So it's kind of like that. If you can tell that that's how the buttons value are kind of done, then it will help. If you cannot, then I may suggest looking at something like if you have a piano keys on reference, that would be great. If you don't, I can suggest looking at let's see, something like what is it called? Scalar dials can help a little bit. I'm gonna go back to this manual. Can help a little bit. What you can use is Yeah. So this will kind of give you the intervals, which can help a lot in finding and ordering these buttons if you're ever struggling with that. But anyways, back to Bandboozled again. I'm not going to teach this too much. You can refer to tutorials on modules such as intervals if you need more help. So we've ordered the buttons. So we see that button 4 is the highest, which means that it has the value 6. So we actually want to hold it for 6 seconds. Hold button 6 for 6 seconds. You must only begin holding the button when the last second digit of the bomb's timer is exactly B. I didn't write this down, but B is 2 because the shift of grand piano was by 2 to the left, which is what we established here. Has been rotated B steps left, so B is equal to 2. So starting at 2. This is kind of what you might tell the diffuser if you're ever doing this on a voice bomb. I'm just writing this out for clarity. And then next, once you have held a button, the previous rules no longer apply. If A is odd, A is 1, so it is. You must tap all brass buttons, otherwise you must tap all wooden buttons. Basically, you want to think of this as, right now, we need to tap all brass buttons, so we want to do tap, tap, no, tap, tap, no. So that's what the buttons' current state are like. Why you want to think about that? Because otherwise, starting at this, however, if a button's Bandboozled glyphs have a useless loop, you must do the exact opposite for that button. So depending on if any of these buttons have a useless loop, you may end up changing the tap status. So for example, starting with this Bandboozled glyph, we see that I'm gonna tab out to lock this here, go through the 2 ends, and then it loops backwards. Again, as I said, if it loops backwards, then it is most likely not going to have a useless glyph. But anyway, just to make sure, it goes down from the middle to down, and then goes through this U, goes back up to the middle, goes down, and then back up. So this is, this does not get changed. It does not have a useless loop. And if you look at this one, it goes down to the middle, then back up, and goes through the loop, and up, down to the middle, down, U-shape, yada yada yada. So it is also not changed. So for the first 2, we just want to be tap. And then for these, we have go to the right, up, right, it goes to the loop, so we basically already know that it's not going to get changed, it does not have a useless loop. So, but just to make sure, it goes to the U-shape, goes to the middle, down, yada yada yada. And now here, for this one, we see that, as I said before, it goes to the top, but then goes all the way down, and then back up. So that's how we know this has a useless loop, so we want to change this one, the tap status for button 4, to no. And then for this one's very obvious, does not have any crosses, it goes through the loops, yada yada yada, so it retains its status. And for this one, it also goes through the loop, so it retains its status. So that means the final submission is going to be hold button 6 for 6 seconds, starting at 2, like the timer's the bomb's timer, when the last second of the bomb's timer is exactly 2. And then we want to tap buttons 1, 2, and 5. So waiting for 2, holding button 6 for 6 seconds. And 6 seconds means that we're going to be stopping at 26. And then we tap. And that's the module solved. That's the solve noise. I hope that this tutorial helps you with the module. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I will respond as quickly as I can. Otherwise, thank you for watching. I wish you the best with your KTaNE experiences, and I'll see you next time.